5 minutes with Trey.
Trey Wallace.
Something like that.
Prime time.
And if I'm looking down, it is what it is. A lot of stuff going on.
No, you go ahead, brother.
Yeah, Outkick, of course, senior SEC writer, wrapping up SEC Media Days. We grabbed Trey off his table.
That's it.
Because Shane's got to go eat. He's got to go gamble. Everybody's is in a mad dash to get out of here. But
it's one of those things, man, where everything just kind of comes to the end. We just met with Josh Heupel upstairs to kind of wrap it up because he was late this morning.
Yep.
Bad weather in Knoxville, so he was late getting in, so he didn't get to do the local media gaggle that every coach does. And
right.
So just coming out of that, just posted an article. Brew McCoy not eligible yet.
Yeah, that's interesting, isn't it?
I've been told he will be eligible, but they're waiting on the NCAA.
Okay.
Does that potentially compound now that they didn't get what was his name, Jalen Robinson, that went to Ole Miss? I mean,
I don't know if that because here's the thing. I honestly think that he ends up getting eligible. I think if you guys remember, it was Aubrey Solomon.
Yeah.
It was Aubrey Solomon. Yeah. You know, they had to wait on the NCAA, then they finally – and as somebody mentioned it to me, we got time.
Yeah.
You know, we got time. We got a month.
Why is this always – it's always an issue at Tennessee, though? Cade Mays, I remember being an issue.
Well, you got to think about it,
Young?
though. When did he come in? He came in the summer.
Yeah.
So you passed the first hurdle with the SEC.
Right.
You got to deal with the NCAA. NCAA is a tougher pill to swallow than the SEC. So
speaking of, what about the can transfer twice rule being potentially?
Yeah, that's getting a little crazy. You know, and I think about it a lot. Like, okay, well, how many times are these kids going to be able to transfer? And I don't think if you don't fit somewhere and you're not playing, I understand you want to go play. Football is very different. I mean, there's only – like if you're the 2 deep, you're good.
Yeah.
You're the 3 deep, okay, you're not – that's not a good spot to be in. But I think when you look at it right now, like the transfer windows, I mean, that would just batshit crazy, excuse my language, but you start right after there in December, like December 5th. You're rolling through the middle of January. And then you come back and you're rolling from the beginning of May to the middle of May. And it's like, can you imagine what the portal would look like after spring practice?
Yeah.
It's just a lot that they're doing, and I'm interested to see if it actually works.
Yeah.
Now, I'm trying to get a hot take out of you, Trey. Is this the year Tennessee beats Florida again?
Yeah.
Yeah, you think so?
Yeah, I think this year they beat Florida. Now, I can't wait to watch Anthony Richardson play consistently.
Right.
That's what I'm excited about. Because it's hard to get a good look at Anthony Richardson last year when he's coming in sporadically. Or when he's coming in playing a game, then he's not playing a game. So you don't get to look at him for 3 straight games, 4 straight games. So right now I look at the quarterback situation. I think Hendon Hooker right now is better than Anthony Richardson. Could that change 3 weeks into the season? Absolutely. But I don't think we have a firm grasp on Anthony Richardson yet. And I think he's talented. I love the kid. I think he's going to be good. I think he has I think Billy Napier and them could do good things with him. I just want to see Florida put that together. Yeah. And I know Tennessee hasn't beaten Florida in a while and all that good jazz and however many years, 17 out of 18, and I get that part. But these are new kids. These kids.
This ain't your Papaw's balls. You know what I'm saying?
Well, here's the thing. They're going to hear about the streaks, or they're going to hear about, hey, we haven't beaten them. These kids don't care.
No.
Yeah, most of them are 0-1, and that's it.
They don't pay attention.
Well, that's one of the questions that they asked Hooker, and he was like talking about him coming up here with Heupel, and he's like, well, yeah, we just want to win games.
Right.
There was no building up the tradition again.
Well, they also asked him about the Alabama rivalry. What the hell does Hendon Hooker know about the Alabama rivalry? He was at Virginia Tech.
Right.
Exactly. He didn't know anything about the third Saturday in October.
Just want to win games, man.
Right. It's all about, what they hear when they're at the school, or what they see on social media, or what fans say to them.
Yeah.
So no hesitation when I ask you about Florida. What about, at LSU, Georgia, Alabama, what are the odds Tennessee has a winning record against those three? I mean,
the biggest game of the season for me is Pittsburgh. I said this last year.
Sneaky.
I said this last year. I remember being on the radio, and I said the biggest game for Tennessee is Pittsburgh, second game of the year. Because you drop that game at Pitt, you're starting to second-guess yourself when you have a pushover game coming in, and then the Gators come to town.
Yeah.
So you're starting the season 1-1. I'm going to give them a win over Ball State. So you're starting the season 1-1. You're like, okay, that's a game they should have won. Tennessee, Kenny Pickett was good, okay? But Tennessee gave them a lot of that game last year.
Right.
I'm not taking anything away from Pitt because they were a good football team. But I think overall, when you look at it now, Tennessee should go to Pitt and win. and I think that. I know who they have at quarterback at Pitt. Slovis, I know he's good from USC. But I look at it overall and I think, okay, get past that game. See what you do against Florida. I think they can win it. I'll pick Tennessee to win it right now. But then it gets a little crazy, because you're flowing in the Georgia, Alabama, Kentucky.
Yeah.
I love Will Levis. I like Spencer Rattler. So these are going to be interesting games. Like last year's Tennessee-Kentucky game. I was there. I was covering that game. It was crazy. Like that could have gone either way. Who knows what happened if they'd have called a face mask on that play. But Tennessee, came out of the gates, 2 touchdowns, bam, bam. That's why they won the football game towards the end. So, I think, the chances of Tennessee beating a team like Alabama or Georgia this year, they're slim. But don't tell me Georgia's not beatable.
Yeah.
I just there's something about it. You get Stetson Bennett off his game a little bit. Here's the biggest thing you do. You take away the run game.
Yeah.
Make Stetson sling the ball 25 times. I know he can do it, but let's see him do it again.
Right.
He had such a good core around him last year.
Yeah.
And running backs. Like, think about the running backs he had last year.
They're all in the NFL now.
It's crazy. And the wide receivers and the offensive linemen and your defensive linemen. I am a believer that these powerhouse schools can continue pumping out talent like we've seen with Alabama. But this is kind of like this would be the first year Georgia's won a title, and they're having to back that up.
Yeah.
I want to see what that looks like first.
Last thing I got for you, Trey, the defense for Tennessee. Everybody points to it, says, look at these stats. They're terrible. And obviously they're not great, but I really did think Tim Banks did a hell of a job with what he had to work with. They were lacking depth, lacking elite players across the board, not a lot of difference makers. They've added pieces via the transfer portal. They've added some promising freshmen. Do you think that defense can at least make a marginal improvement to help a winning Tennessee team?
First off, it's got to start at linebacker. I think the secondary's, you got to replace Alontae Taylor. Theo Jackson. They have guys though. Trayvon Flowers, Tank McCullough, Christian Charles. I could go on.
Yeah.
The biggest thing to me is linebacker. What you're doing with Jeremy Banks, Juwan Mitchell, Aaron Beasley. Look, besides some younger guys coming in, you're pretty much rolling the same crew you had last year out on the field besides Mitchell, who got hurt during the season with his shoulder. That's the scary part to me. How can they get to the ball? How can they get to the outside? And maybe they have worked on that. A healthy Juwan Mitchell, let's see what he's like this year. But I think overall, when you look at it, linebacker scares me the most just because of depth-wise. Because there were times, guys, last year where Tennessee was rolling out Solomon Page. Nothing against Solomon Page, but you're going up against stout offensive lines from the SEC and 235-pound running backs that can knock you off your block.
Right.
I just think Tennessee's got to shore up the linebacker spot, defensive line spot. They got enough guys.
Yeah.
I'm not talking about the edges. I'm not talking about Barron. I'm not talking about Young. I'm talking about in the middle. They got enough guys. And I've always said this about Tennessee over the last 2-3 years. And y'all can decipher what I'm meaning by this when I say it. I'm going to use letters. They don't have an FU guy.
Yeah.
When I say an FU guy, they don't have a guy, Jordan Adams. Somebody you line up on that defensive line that you know is going to make a play. I'm not talking about coming off the edges. Edges are different. But to me, that's what Tennessee's been lacking, is that monster that you know is going to go make the play on 3rd and 2 or 3rd and 3.
Yeah, a disruptor.
Yeah, so
absolutely.
if they can figure that out, Tim Banks' defense, they'll be okay. But if they have the same problems they had last year where they were rotating guys in and you can't find a guy besides what they're doing on the edge, that's where the problem might lie.
Last one I got for you, optimism. All right, if we have a perfect season, Hooker stays healthy, everything goes the right way for the Vols, the defensive backs come together better than we thought. What is the ceiling for this team?
I think 9-3 is a good record for Tennessee. I think that LSU game is going to be interesting. I hope it's at night because it'd be great to cover. But the LSU game is interesting because LSU could be sneaky good.
Yeah.
Then you got Alabama and you've got Georgia, and then you got Florida.
Right.
So to me, pick your one out of those 4 you're going to win. You're going to go on the road in Baton Rouge and win, or you're going to win at home against Florida. because I think Tennessee will end up with 3 losses next year. And it could be more, too. Because let's be honest, what if Kentucky comes out? Well, no, I'm talking about one. I'm talking about one.
Oh, okay.
Maybe 8-4.
Okay.
Because what if Spencer Rattler comes out and slinging the ball around
Yeah.
and the guy's got some? We just don't know. What if Will Levis has upped his game from last year
Yeah.
and he takes advantage of a Tennessee defense? The biggest thing to me is Tennessee's going to have to score
Yeah.
35, 41 points a game to keep up with so many teams. And can they do it? We saw them last year do it.
Yeah.
We did. We saw them take Alabama to the fourth quarter last year. It wasn't anything Tennessee wasn't doing. So I just think, looking at Tennessee's schedule, I've said 9-3, 8-4 would be kind of my low part because Tennessee and Josh Heupel can't take the step back this year.
No.
Continue going forward.
Tell our audience where they can follow you, Trey, on your way out the door.
Yeah, absolutely. Follow me at Outkick.com. You can follow me on Twitter at Trey Wallace _. Lots of coverage. Who knows where we will be every Saturday this fall? We'll be in Knoxville, Athens, Austin, Texas, back here in Atlanta to open the season. So we're just rolling along here, guys, and I appreciate you having me on.
Absolutely. Thank you, Trey. That was awesome.